Purple Ties Podcast. Great stories of Trevecca Trojans and life on the Hill. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Ruff. Welcome to episode number 4 of Purple Ties Podcast. I'm in Hermitage, Tennessee. Our producer, DK, is in an undisclosed location. And Michael Johnson, you see on the screen there, is live in Old Hickory, Tennessee. We're going to introduce our guest here in just a little bit. But first, turn things over to Michael Johnson to help get us ready for this broadcast.
Greg, it's great to see you, buddy. And I am really pumped about what we're doing today. I have been a fan of Trevecca basketball in earnest since 1978. And I am so happy that Coach Omar Mance is going to be a part of the show with us today. And we hope that those of you who are tuning in live right now via Facebook Live will interact with us. If you have a comment or two, or maybe even a question, we might be able to get to that later on. But I'm really excited about this, Greg. I think the folks are going to enjoy our show.
Absolutely. And our guest on this opening episode, by the way, Michael, it's appropriate you're back with us. You're a little bit closer to being Dr. Johnson, which is a family tradition, apparently. But before we introduce our guest, because this person's been a fan of Trevecca athletics all along ago, Melvin Welch, and it was one of the kindest emails. Thank you for your email today and your encouragement. And we would encourage to let us know what you like about the broadcast, some comments, some shout outs. We'll do that as well during this. So, Michael, go ahead and
I'm happy to
start
do
guest
that
today.
Happy to do that, Greg. Omar Mance is no stranger to the basketball world. He's one of the most connected guys I think I've ever known in the coaching ranks. Had a stellar college career, first at LSU and then at Rice. They think really highly of him down there at Rice. I saw some highlights the other day, Coach, and I didn't realize that you had the leaping ability that you do. I saw a couple of monster jams. He's been with us now for 2 full seasons and has worked really diligently to recruit and to restock the cupboard. And that's some of what we're going to talk about today, Coach. Some really exciting news on the recruiting front. But welcome in Coach Omar Mance, head coach, now heading into his 3rd year at the helm of the Trevecca Trojans men's basketball program.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Just really excited. Obviously, Michael, when I met you, they said you're Nazarene royalty. So to have you on here, and again, one of the biggest supporters we've had, and I just appreciate all you and your wife do for Trevecca, and then obviously Greg Ruff, one of the best SIDs in the business. So I'm honored to be on here, honored to be with you guys today.
Awesome.
So, Omar, talk a little bit about the season. Michael, I'm sorry I cut in there, but this is what we're seeing is some of the highlights from the year from our social media. But just talk about the season a little bit.
Yeah, it was a great
ending
for us, a great season. Obviously, we talked about when I got, the job is about, rebuilding, but, I'll be remiss, Coach Harris brought it from NAI to Division II, did an amazing job. And then for me, it's to take it to the next level. And so, the first 2 years were really about, rebuilding it and kind of building it up. And so off the court, it was a lot of great things. You see Reed Smith, Evan Ragsdale as seniors, Malcolm Walker. We ended the year on a 4-game winning streak, 4 in a row. In our last 6 games, we played phenomenal. It was just phenomenal basketball. So it's just really cool to finally see the fruits of our players' labor at the end of the year on the court. Off the court, Christian Scholar was phenomenal. And then at the end, Christian Scholar athlete, to see 4 in a row wins against some tough opponents was a great ending to our season.
One of the things that we looked at, and you and I were both looking at these numbers, Coach, about the difference between the first 2/3 of the season and the last third of the season. The numbers were just dramatic. One of the people that really was key in that really there was many, but two in particular I'm going to mention: Chris Rogers and Adam Webb, and just what they were able to do down the stretch really helped fuel a lot of what you were doing.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I just think about Adam Webb, a D1 transfer from Stetson. Obviously you can't miss him around campus on the court, 7'2". And the great part is he wanted to be good. He's the most humble guy I've met at his size, coming from where he did. And he was working hard in the gym every day. And then Chris Rogers, who you mentioned, as a point guard, started the season injured, and as a freshman ended up leading us in scoring and assists during the conference season. And part of that was he was able to connect with Adam. And you got a guard and a big man that could work together. They played phenomenal basketball. And we talked about Adam Webb a little bit, broke the blocks record and did a great job finishing with a lot of points, rebounds, and blocks there. And so to see those two guys flourish at the end of the year, I know a lot of GMAC opponents were happy the season was over because we were just now starting to get our stride.
Next year, part of coaching is buying the groceries, and that's recruiting, as I see it. And talk about your recruiting. We'll start off with Calvin Walker, a transfer from UH. Talk about his story, first of all.
Yeah, Calvin Walker is going to be a great player for us. Just a great young man. He won 2 state championships in Alabama. Lenny Acuff played with his dad growing up, and he was a Huntsville guy for Lenny Acuff. And he's an elite shooter, a lefty. As you can see, he can shoot from anywhere on the court. And what's awesome about him is we played Huntsville twice this year, and they got us pretty good, and they're a top 10 program. And he literally saw our culture and the things that we did well. And to have him a part of our program is really, really cool, to have a young man who's from a winning program. I think they won 50 games in 2 years at Huntsville and went to 2 NCAA tournaments. To have his experience with our young bucks, I like to say, is going to be really exciting.
All right, then another guy, 2 for 2 on 7-2 recruits in your first 2 recruiting classes. Talk about the transfer, D1 7-2 transfers. Talk about Brendan Newton from Liberty.
Yeah, Brendan's a great young man, a great family, strong Christian family, went to Faith Christian. I first saw Brendan when he was in 9th grade. Coach Dare Lair, who's an awesome man of God at Liberty. We recruited him and went after him. And then when Richie McKay got the job, we obviously went after him, and he was recruited really highly. He had a couple offers like Virginia Tech and some high-level schools. But the biggest thing, he's just a gentle giant and one of the most humble men you'll meet. And again, we played against him 2 years ago. They've practiced in our gym for the last 2 years. He's won 59 games in 2 years. 2 NCAA tournaments and a win. And he saw our culture from afar and saw all our players. I would say they get the credit for this one because Brendan Newton came here because of the relationships we had. He wasn't able to visit on campus or anything because of the COVID. So the relationship me and him had for years really helped out. But really, it's our players, Gabriel McKay and those guys, doing a great job of bringing in a great player like Brendan Newton for us.
Talk about the rest of the recruiting class that we've announced to this point. Just fill people in on who's coming and what attracted you to them.
Yeah, the 2 most recent signees obviously were Zeke Greer from Lexington Christian Academy and Nathan Harper, who's on our team, is a legacy player from there, and it's a great program, and he'll be a great guard for us. Just a great family. His dad's a coach and a pastor, and then Mason McNatt, who just committed from Grace Christian Academy. He signed. Both of those guys signed this week. His dad was at BGA and won a state championship and now coaches at Grace Christian. And Mason's just an awesome player. And he broke a ton of records just from scoring over 2,000 points and 3-pointers, 477 in his career. And he just was named All-State. Those are guys who have seen our culture. They've seen what God has done off the court before the on-the-court results. And it just to continue recruiting locally, but also, again, great Christian character kids in our program has been pretty phenomenal.
Well, before I turn it over to Michael, I want to say Alexa Rippey chimed in on Facebook, and she commented about her former coach, which is Michael Johnson there, and said royalty doesn't even cover it, and I would agree with that. So shout out to Alexa Rippey, one of the greatest athletes to ever wear the purple and white there. But Michael, I'll turn things over to you here.
Hey, I'm just having a blast thinking about this. And I'm enjoying Bald is Beautiful Wednesday here. I mean, I don't even know that we planned this, but things have a way of working out. Coach O, I once quit a job at Spaghetti Factory so I could get to a Trevecca Lipscomb basketball game. It was not the smartest financial decision I ever made, but I'm a fan. I love following the team. Even in college, I would organize trips and borrow my dad's Ford van and take people to games on the road. And we're pretty excited about opportunities that are available to fans to get out on the road and see the Trojans this year. I hear you're working on a couple of pretty neat things in maybe November and December down in Central Florida. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, no, again, what's been really cool is being able to connect with you guys, Michael Johnson. Just think about all the people from, Dr. Boone and Holly Whitby and Mark Elliott. We've talked about the fan base. We've talked about the alums. We talked about boosters, engaging them. And one thing we did last year, which was really cool, we went to Point Loma, and the president of Point Loma obviously went to Trevecca, which is a great deal for our guys to go to a sister school. And then we were in Florida, and Michael, you guys were able to come down there. Patrick Conger, some other people did a great job of connecting. And so I want to continue to do that when we schedule. And so I know it'll be hot off the presses later this summer when we finalize our schedule, but I'm definitely working on our Thanksgiving and Christmas trips or tournaments and games to try to get to Central Florida and really engage the alumni base. We are, the only Nazarene university in the Southeast. And so for us to get to Georgia, Florida, I think it'll be really cool for our fans and our players. So be on the lookout for, the Thanksgiving and Christmas time for us to get down to Florida and have a good time down there, but also to engage our fans and our alums.
I have a follow-up question to that. We haven't been able to get out with events, but as much as I would have been, really intended to, and now that we have Randy Kinder and his events team on board, and as a part of the external relations team, we're trying to strategize about how we can connect with you and all the other coaches to get people who are connected to Trevecca to come out and see you guys on the road. We have a lot of alumni up in Ohio where so many of our GMAC schools are. Those are some things that we really want to be able to do. And so I appreciate your emphasis on that. And I just wanted to let you know that we're committed to trying to support you out there, as well as all the other coaches with their great teams that represent Trevecca so well.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I just think about the Purple and White Club. You can be a member of Purple and White no matter where you are around the world. And the experience when you come to a game of having the big screen TV and the food and TSAC and just people mingling together, I can see those types atmosphere on the road where we'll be able to engage our students, but also our boosters and our alums. I want to continue the Purple and White on the road. And if that's a mentality we can have, or we can have a dinner with the team and with the players or a lunch, I think it'll be phenomenal.
Give a shout out to Don Hastings, who's the president of the Purple and White Club and another great Trevecca fan just in general, but D.B. Hastings at trevecca.edu. Give Don a shout and let him know you're interested in the Purple and White Club. We'd love to have you. Those of you who are listening and will listen later, we'd love to have you be a part of the Purple and White Club.
Hey, one thing, kind of continuing with this thought, 2 years now. It's been not quite 2 years that you became a Trevecca Trojan. Just reflect back on your first 2 years. What do you know about Trevecca now that maybe you didn't know then, and what has been reaffirmed about what you thought about Trevecca coming here?
Yeah, no, I think I mentioned in my press conference, the biggest thing for me is the relationships, being able to talk to Mark Elliott and see his vision, being able to talk to Dr. Boone and Denise Boone and seeing their passion for the Purple and White. There are multiple people we met through that, JP, who was the head of compliance, who was a former player, got married and was working in the department, Broderick Thomas and others. And so to me, the relationships have been above and beyond what I can ask for Trevecca. They talk about Trevecca Christian University in the heart of Nashville. it's been really cool to see our heart in Nashville, just how many people love Trevecca. And so what's happened is our programs, benefited from that. We've gotten, think of our three seniors. We brought in Reed Smith my first year, Brentwood came back home. Evan Ragsdale from CPA came back home. Malcolm Walker from Independence High School came back home. And it really just started something really great in the community, which Trevecca has always done. But I wanted our program to be first and foremost in building and engaging relationships in the community, and also, with our staff. I can't brag on my staff enough to think about Reese Chamberlain being with us for 2 years, from Belmont to Hendersonville. Todd Coffey, who joined in from Liberty, Alabama guy, and then Tay Gibbs, who's got his master's, finishing his master's at Trevecca, right, and is now maybe going to be able to get a doctorate because he's done such a great job. He's been on our staff. He's going to have 2 degrees from Trevecca. So it's just phenomenal thinking year 2, all the behind the scenes work with Christian Scholar and building the relationships in the community. And then now to see the recruiting we've gotten, the players that have drawn to that, it's going to be cool to see the athlete part start to slowly come.
Here you're looking at something that Randy Kinder was a big part of, and kind of changing the introductions at the gym, and something that Michael Johnson's very familiar with, creating atmosphere there at the gym. Those are some of the things that we're looking to try to do to enhance the experience there at the ball games. Talk about other things that are on your mind about how you'd like to see things in the field house, and maybe even in another big house here on campus.
Yeah, what's been really cool is for me to see the interest that we've had. We added the front row seating where the fans can come sit on the front row, have a front row experience. I think about putting the students behind the bench. Obviously, you see how engaged our bench is in these highlights. The energy and excitement of our team is something we had even a year ago. We won 4 games, and the energy on the bench was phenomenal. Our players really buy in. And so I just think about little things of engaging the student body. And like you said, Randy Kinder and his team's done phenomenal, but also the engaging the alums and the boosters who are on the other side with a front row seat, really engaged in our team. And I want to build an environment where you guys can be proud, and where we can talk about building a new field house or an arena or something like that engages the Nashville community. And so what's been really cool is you guys have done all the work of supporting Trevecca. I've just hoped to build it in the right way that reflects the mission of the university. And so far, it's been phenomenal. It's been awesome.
Mike, I'll give you last question or thought with Coach Omar today.
What is, in your mind, the thing that in this really unusual time that we're dealing with, a lot of questions about what a new normal might look like and all of that. What holds you steady, Coach, in the middle of all of this? Is it just keeping your eye on, what you can control and try to do in terms of recruiting and all that, or is there something deeper that you're thinking about these days in the middle of all these uncertain times?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think you guys know me really well. The one thing, obviously, you go back to your faith. The book of Revelations is mainly about hope and overcoming. And we talk with our players, God is definitely going to help us overcome. But more importantly, there's hope at the end of it, hope in eternal life. So for me, obviously going back, knowing that God is doing something in the midst of this tough time, and for us to connect with our players on a deeper level, to connect with the community on a deeper level. Think about you're stuck with your neighbors, probably connecting with your neighbors on a deeper level. So there's solace knowing that God is doing something through this. And then on the other side, like I said, what's been awesome is our players are still connecting, watching film. We're still recruiting. We're still adding players. There are players and student athletes that still want to be a part of our program. I'm really excited to see the relationships and the deep, intimate conversations that God has taught us through this on the other side with our program. And you guys have seen from Kid Power, which is phenomenal, to the things that our young men do. I can't wait for our young men to be mentors and disciplers in the community, from Napier to Trevecca to Nashville, from the other side of this. Basketball is one thing, but impacting a community through basketball is way more important.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, Coach O, thank you for joining us today. We want to remind everybody, don't Don't forget to like and share all of the Trevecca Trojan social media outlets, and we greatly appreciate it when you comment and share, especially in the Purple Ties podcast. Our thanks go out to associate producer Andrew Preston, as always, and social media consultant Skylar Milton, productions assistants Brian Klimkowski and Sarah Klimkowski, creative assistant Bethany Donaldson, design consultants Briley and Breelyn Ruff, and our executive producer is Mark Elliott. Finally, thanks to our guest, Coach O, and now also the master of atmosphere, Michael Johnson. I'm Greg Ruff. Thanks. That's all for now from the Hill.
See you guys.
Purple Ties Podcast. Great stories of Trevecca Trojans and life on the Hill.